In the previous episode, we introduced the adaptive financial benchmarking framework. And within that framework, we established 6 core dimensions of household optionality. In this video, we begin the first deep dive. And arguably, this may be the most foundational dimension in the entire system: recurring surplus strength. Because before investing, leverage optimization, future state engineering, or advanced capital allocation, the system must first accomplish one thing consistently: generate excess operational capacity. Recurring surplus strength measures how much excess capacity the household generates consistently after supporting its recurring operating structure. Importantly, this is not simply money left over in the bank account. It is structural flexibility generation. The recurring surplus ratio is calculated as net income before financing charges divided by income. Now, where do we get the net income before financing charges number? Well, on our contribution income statement, fully described in an earlier video in this channel, you can find that specific number. Or if you have your personal income statement, also fully described in this channel, as long as you've structured it so that your interest expenses, which are the financing charges, are at the end of the income statement, and there's a number that essentially captures net income before financing charges, before you subtract out the interest, then you can use that statement as well. That is divided by income, which again can be taken from the contribution income statement or the personal income statement. And this distinction matters enormously because the goal is not merely surviving month to month. The goal is creating margin for error. One of the biggest hidden risks in household finance is operating too close to zero. Because systems with minimal recurring surplus absorb shocks poorly, struggle to invest consistently, become dependent on stable conditions, and often lose optionality rapidly when uncertainty appears. Even small disruptions like car repairs, inflation, which has been dealt with in another place in this channel, temporary unemployment, health issues, interest rate increases, which impact financing costs, or reduced hours can destabilize the structure. This is critically important because recurring surplus is not merely a profitability measure, it is a resilience measure. To make benchmarking meaningful, we need target ranges. Example recurring surplus benchmark ranges might look like this: below 5% critical fragility, between 5 and 15% weak adaptability, 15 to 25% moderate resilience, 25 to 40% strong adaptive capacity, and above 40% exceptional optionality generation. These ranges are not moral judgments. They are structural observations. Higher recurring surplus creates larger liquidity buffers, stronger investing capacity, greater shock absorption, and wider future state flexibility. This is also where the contribution income statement connects directly to the cash flow statement, because recurring surplus strength influences cash flow from living, and stronger cash flow from living creates liquidity accumulation, investing capacity, debt reduction flexibility, and future state optionality expansion. This is why the contribution income statement matters so much. It is not merely an accounting report, it becomes an operational planning system. Improving recurring surplus strength generally happens through 5 major pathways: increasing income capacity, reducing fixed cost rigidity, optimizing variable consumption, reducing financing pressure, improving operational efficiency. Importantly, not all improvements are equal. Reducing recurring structural obligation often it creates permanent optionality expansion, while temporary income spikes without structural improvement may create fragile surplus. Strong systems therefore prioritize structural optimization, not merely temporary cash flow spikes. One of the most common patterns that weakens recurring surplus is lifestyle expansion. As income rises, many households gradually increase housing costs, vehicle costs, subscriptions, recurring obligations, financing commitments, and structural rigidity. The result is that income rises, but recurring surplus does not. This creates a dangerous illusion of strength, because high income alone does not guarantee adaptability. Only recurring surplus does. And if you want to find out more or learn more about lifestyle expansion, it's dealt with in depth within this channel. Ultimately, strong recurring surplus creates something much larger than savings. It creates optionality. Because recurring surplus allows the system to absorb shocks, invest consistently, preserve liquidity, avoid forced decisions, and pursue future opportunities. This is why recurring surplus is foundational, because systems without recurring surplus often become structurally reactive, while systems with strong recurring surplus become strategically adaptive. In this episode, we explored the first major dimension of adaptive financial architecture, recurring surplus strength. We examined how recurring surplus is measured, why margin for error matters, how benchmark ranges reveal structural strength, and how recurring surplus ultimately drives liquidity, investing capacity, and future optionality. But recurring surplus alone is not enough, because surplus only becomes strategically powerful if the system also preserves liquidity runway. And that is where the next dimension takes us. In the next episode, we'll examine liquidity runway benchmarking. We'll explore emergency runway targets, liquidity stress thresholds, uncertainty absorption, time flexibility, and why liquidity may be one of the most underestimated forms of optionality in the entire financial system.